I ended off the last video by tuning up this bearing here. What I did was I dripped some oil on the top and then I heated it up. And the idea behind that was that oil would, get inside there, mix with the old grease that's already in there and kind of liquefy that again. And that seems to be working well. In this video, I'm going to be making the bearing blocks that actually fit on these bearings that are already on here. And as you can see, this is the way they're made right here. I'm making these bearing blocks from wood and from steel. In this case, I'm using hard maple for the wood and steel bars top and bottom. And what that does is it gives a solid place for the bearing to be top and bottom. Also, there will be bolts on either side that bolt it down to the structure of the jointer. Both bearing blocks are going to be made the same way. Like I said, I'll be using this piece of maple, and I'll also be using 3/4 inch by 1/8 inch thick steel. And I'll be cutting those 4 inches long for each bearing block. I'm going to start with the bigger bearing first, and I've set my compact compass to 20 millimeters. This larger bearing on this end is a 40 millimeter outside diameter. So I need to draw that circle out on my piece of wood, and I just cut both to a rough length on the miter saw before doing this. That was the 40 millimeter bearing. I don't have a bit for that, but I do have one for the 35 millimeter bearing on the end. So I've put the Forstner bit in my drill press. I'm just going to drill that out now. And of course, the good thing about this is there's no monkeying around. I'm also going to drill out the 40 millimeter one with the 35 millimeter bit, and then I can just take that over to my spindle sander and bring it right up to the line. I have a 40 millimeter bearing that I can test in the hole as I go. Both holes are the right size now. And the next thing that I need to do is actually cut this down the size so that it kind of clamps around the bearing. And what that'll do is that will give me 2 pieces rather than 1 from each block. So how I'm going to do this is I'm going to make a cut, sneaking up on the edge of that circle until I finally meet it. And then I'll cut the other side in exactly the same way. All right, that cut was a little bit dicier than I liked, so I'm gonna figure out a different way to cut this one. I think it's best to actually pin a scrap on top to bridge over the hole before I make the cut, and that way I can flip it around and cut the other side without the 2 parts coming apart. All right, with that business taken care of, the next thing I want to do is trim these on the inside, and that way I'll be able to cut them exactly to the length I need to match the pieces of steel that I already cut out. Next thing I got to do is drill out these pieces of steel. I need a 1/4 inch hole in each one, and that's for the bolt that goes down to attach it to the structure of the jointer. Okay, I used a 1/8 inch drill bit to drill a pilot hole, and now I've switched to a step drill, and I'm going to drill it out to a 1/4 inch with that. I find that a step drill works better for this kind of drilling operation, especially in thinner metal. And then the last thing to do is to drill a hole through the wooden blocks themselves. And I'm going to drill these slightly oversized at 5/16.